penultimate presenter, PJ Succi from the Department of Exercise Science, presenting Embracing Failure to Encourage Curiosity and Learning. Take it away, PJ.
Hi, my name is PJ Succi. I'm a doctoral student in the Department of Kinesiology and Health Promotion, and I teach the exercise physiology labs. However, the beginnings of my teaching philosophy actually began when I was an out-of-department TA in the Department of Chemistry, where a lot of the students, they would come in and they would dread coming to labs. They're always so afraid that they wouldn't have data, they wouldn't be able to complete the lab report, and they would fail, and then their lives would be over. And so the ways in which I found to combat that in chemistry, I've taken with me into exercise physiology, and that really sort of develops my teaching philosophy. And the first part of that is building rapport, that positive relationship with the student, where I get to know all of their names and I know their background information. And again, they can come into lab and they're not just a number in the crowd, they are a name and a face, and they come in and they know me, and they know that they can, they're in a positive environment where they can embrace that failure as we get to that. And so then the next part of that is really encouraging them to fail in a way. And so a lot of them are so afraid to mess up in all aspects of their learning process, when really in my opinion, I think it's a pivotal role in their education. Specifically, in terms of learning different techniques, so in lab we measure blood pressure. We don't use the machines, we measure it by hand, and a lot of times they really struggle with that on the outset. It's definitely a learned skill that takes a lot of practice, and it's important for them to see themselves fail so that way they can kind of take that pressure off. And I encourage that failure by telling them about my own failures of learning that process at the beginning, and that way they can see, oh, this is my teacher and he wasn't good at that at first, so therefore I shouldn't be good at it at first either. And so they can kind of change that mindset of how they're examining failure, and they can kind of see it in a more positive light. And then when we do other sort of exercises where we have to do maximal exercise to measure our VO2 max, so we have to do a graded exercise test on the treadmill, again, they're really afraid to exercise to failure, but really it's something that, going back to the blood pressure lab, they're seeing that in a different light, and they can see it really sort of in a positive way, where they know that if they need to be able to prescribe exercise intensities for a training program or something of that nature, they need to be able to know what their maximal capabilities are, and the only way to get that information is by embracing that failure and going all the way to fatigue, so that way they can know their maximal capabilities. And through both of those examples of embracing that failure, seeing that in that different light, knowing that if I want to be able to get to where I want to go, I need to know where I stand in the interim, in the right now. And they can, that generates their curiosity. They're not afraid to ask questions. That develops that growth mindset where they become more engaged in the material, and they're not afraid to ask maybe that dumb question, even though there are no dumb questions. And they're able to see that in that more positive light, engage more with the material, and become more lifelong learners. Thank you.